Hey guys, welcome to the Sun Unite edition of I'm Still Playing. And yeah, let's just get this up right up front. To the complete surprise of no one, I did indeed cave and upgrade to buy the Epic edition of the expansion so that I could get the early access and log in and start playing Thursday, playing the War Within expansion on Thursday, which I have. And so now that I have a few days under my belt, I feel like it's time to answer the question, is WoW back? Does the expansion deliver? But before I get to it, I just want to take a moment to talk on the topic of spoilers. So the War Within starts with some pretty dramatic moments right off the bat, and I was pretty dismayed to see immediately that those dramatic moments were plastered all over YouTube and all over social media. If I hadn't have pre-purchased and immediately played, I almost definitely would have been spoiled to all of the opening moments in the story. And so if you're watching and you have already been spoiled to the opening moments of the story, I'm sorry. Allow me to apologize on behalf of the entire internet. However, though, if you haven't been spoiled yet, then good on you. And let me talk about what I'm going to show in this video. I am going to show some footage of me running around the new zones playing. I am not going to show any cinematic footage. I'm not going to talk about the story at all. So if you're just listening, you definitely won't get any spoilers. And if you're watching and listening, the only spoilers you might get are just the visual elements of the zones themselves, and perhaps a little bit of quest text if you're very fast in reading the quest text that I have up on the screen. But I won't be showing any cinematics and I won't be talking about the story. All right, well then let's get to the question, does the expansion deliver? And I'm not going to make you wait until the end of the video to answer that question because I want to say just right up front, most emphatically, it does. It really, really does. How does it deliver? In almost all of the ways that are important. Well, at least important to me and the way that I play. First of all, there is the story. And as I said before earlier, it definitely starts off with a bang. There are moments in those opening minutes where I was belly laughing. There were moments where I was cheering. And there was at least a few moments where I said, are you fucking kidding me? So yeah, and those are the best kinds of reactions to have to the story, right? Those are the things that you want players doing as they get into your expansion and to your content and start going through it. And you know what there wasn't any of at all? No goddamn scouting tables. And if you've watched my earlier video, then you know how much I hate those things. And let me just say right up front that there are none of those, and I couldn't be more happy to not see them. And so we've got this tight narrative, this cohesive story that you jump into from the beginning and you come rolling through it. And in fact, the campaign story itself is so good that it can be hard to find points to kind of break off and go do the side quests. That's kind of a double-edged sword on the side quest part because the side quests are really good. There are some fantastic stories in and of themselves, and they are. And I guess the problem, if there's any problem, is that there are so dang many of them. They are everywhere. And in fact, it seems pretty clear that the WoW developer is intended for you to kind of move through the main campaign and just kind of stay focused on the main campaign, perhaps with your original character, and then come back with alts to do all of the side stories. But of course, that's not the way I play. My motto is leave no exclamation point behind. And so I'm running around doing all of the side quests, and I'm already level 77, and I haven't left the second zone yet. So I will quite likely reach level 80 just as I'm entering the third zone. And you will too. It'll be up to you, but they're definitely have geared it and set it up in such a way that you can really kind of get through the campaign and just focus on the campaign if you desire, and you will get a great story structure as you do so. So we're delivering on story, and that's all fine and good, but what about the other parts? The parts I talked about earlier when I said this would be a great expansion for solo players. Well, I've already done a few delves, and they're every bit as good as I had hoped they would be. The first one I soloed, and you get to it really pretty early. And because I was geared up from the pre-patch, it was a cakewalk at tier 1. It really wasn't difficult at all. As I progressed further into the game and did them at tier 2 and tier 3, and remember I've said earlier that tier 3 is the highest you can do in the campaign until you get to the end, until you get to level 80. Tier 3 at higher levels was definitely more difficult. In fact, my NPC died at the boss fight of one of the most recent delves that I did. So, but yeah, overall the scaling I think is fine. And for soloing, I've done them both solo and with a friend. And they did scale up a little bit with a friend, but it still wasn't anything that we couldn't handle. So I'm pretty happy with like the ability to level up the NPC as I move through the delves. In fact, there's probably a whole other video to be done on all of the delve mechanics and the delve guide. In fact, I know that there are other people out here who have already put together an incredibly good delve guide. So that's not what this is going to be about. But I do just want to say they're fun. They're working out exactly as we had hoped. And that's nothing but good, right? So we're progressing through the campaign, and then we got to that point that I've talked about before, where they inevitably say, "Okay, well, it's time to go and do the dungeon now." And I'm pleased to see that the follower dungeon was actually the default choice. So they'd say, "Hey, click on this to enter the dungeon in follower dungeon mode," which I think is super smart because the first time you come to the dungeon, you do want to do it in an easy mode. You want to be able to take the time to, well, at least I would, not everyone would, but I wanted to be able to take the time to explore the dungeon, to listen to the story. And that's exactly what follower dungeons give you. So I queued up for it, immediately dropped me in. I was able to take my time through the dungeon. Again, the scaling, the difficulty was fine. It wasn't super trivial, but it wasn't all that difficult either. And the rewards, I think, were just so-so. I didn't get any great rewards from the first time I went to the dungeon. I've done a few since then, both with friends and without, and I have gotten a few gear upgrades from them. I'm already getting gear upgrades from the pre-patch content as well while questing. So yeah, I think the gear progression is fine. The dungeons are a ton of fun, both solo and with friends. And in fact, one of the cool things was that I was doing a dungeon last night with my buddy, and he missed one of the quest items he was supposed to get. And so we just stopped. We told the NPC tank to hold up a bit. He went all the way back to the previous boss, was able to complete that quest, and then come back forward. And then we said, "Hey, NPC tank, take off. Let's go." And that was very cool, right? You couldn't have done that with your typical LFG dungeon, or if you had done it, you would have had to wait until everyone else left and then hope that you could get back to the point where you found the quest text to complete that. And that is the thing that follower dungeons really give you, is the ability to take your own time and proceed through the dungeon at your own pace. It's pretty darn cool. And there you have it. We've got a solid linear story that's interesting, just as we had asked for. The delves are delivering in difficulty scaling and rewards and are fun to play. And the follower dungeons allow you to play with friends or by yourself at the pace that you dictate, still allow you to consume the story and get rewarded for it. It's like my buddy said, it's like they took the best parts of all the previous expansions and rolled them together in this expansion. And so nicely done, Blizzard. I think you've killed it with this one. It's going to be really, really fun to continue on and to see how everything ends up once we get to endgame. And that's going to be it for this evening. I could go on and on, but honestly, I'm going to try to go get some playtime in before I'm all done. So thanks for stopping by this rather short video and checking it out. I hope you guys are having a great time in the War Within expansion. If you haven't gotten in yet, if you're going to drop in tomorrow when the full access opens up, I encourage you guys to check out all the side quests, to have a great time, and most importantly, take your time, enjoy the content, because you only go through this content for the first time once. And it's, take your time. Just really enjoy your progression through the game. All right. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for coming by. Good night.